Welcome back to 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
Good afternoon from the 17 studios. It is noon on this Friday, and today marks the fourth day of the impeachment trial of former President Donald J. Trump. Former President Trump's defense made their case on why Mr. Trump should not be convicted of inciting an insurrection. You can continue watching the live coverage on our KGET Facebook page and our website, kget.com. In the meantime, we take you to local news. And today, topping our newscast, after a marathon, hours-long, two-day public hearing, county planning commissioners have rendered a decision on whether to recommend Kern's revised oil permitting ordinance. 17's Eitan Wallace joins us in studio with the final vote and what it means going forward. Good afternoon, Eitan.
Good afternoon, Alex. In the end, commissioners voted 4-0 with one abstention to recommend support for the proposed ordinance. Now, the proposal would allow up to some 2,700 new wells per year for the next 15 years in Kern. That would allow for more than 40,000 new wells in the county by 2036. Now, this plan comes 5 years after a judge struck down part of the county's 2015 oil and gas permitting plan, saying it did not achieve certain environmental protections. That plan would have allowed up to just over 70,000 new wells by 2041. Now, industry stakeholders who support the new plan point out 25,000 jobs in Kern's economy are either directly or indirectly tied to the oil and gas industry, which pumps hundreds of millions of dollars into county coffers through oil property taxes. Opponents are calling on the county to diversify, arguing more wells will disproportionately hurt communities of color and the environment. Here are some of the comments from those in favor and against the ordinance.
California-based oil and gas production, in particular in Kern County, provides an essential supply of energy that keeps our economy and citizens moving forward.
You cannot have drilling and healthy people at the same time. Keep the oil and gas in the damn ground. I have to breathe the same damn air pollution that the oil and gas industry causes. I'm tired of this crap.
Now, commissioners shared why they decided to recommend support for the ordinance.
We're doing it to survive and make a community. And again, if we don't have some sort of revenue or some way to transition things, all these things people want to see with green jobs and everything aren't and can't happen. You can't just shut it down tomorrow and expect all this magic to happen with respect to infrastructure.
Now, the proposal will go to county supervisors. They will make a decision, a final vote next month on whether to approve or reject the ordinance. So a lot to go here in the next month, and we will keep you posted. Alex?
All right, Eitan, thank you so much. Firefighters raced to save two homes in southwest Bakersfield after a fire broke out. The fire happened this morning around 7:20 at a home on Silver Birch Avenue. That's in a neighborhood off of Gosford and Harris Roads. Crews say it started in the garage of one home. The flames scorched the neighboring house. Firefighters say it could have been much worse, but crews were able to put the fire out before it spread too much. Officials say no one was hurt. A popular eatery here in town was shut down this week after health inspectors found several violations. The problems were found at Mossman Southwest. The restaurant on Weibel Road received a failing grade of 55%. Inspectors say they found rodent droppings throughout the business, heavy food and grease buildup underneath all cooking equipment, and other violations. Another 483 people have been infected with coronavirus in Kern County. That update coming from Public Health this morning. On average, 416 people are testing positive for the virus every day. That is slightly up from earlier this week. No new deaths were reported. We also learned nearly 5,500 people in Kern have been hospitalized for coronavirus. That's about 5% of our county's total cases. Right now, 263 people are in the hospital, 55 are in the ICU. The daughter of the first person to die from coronavirus in the U.S. shares the pain of the loss of her mother and best friend. That woman was from San Jose. Patricia Dowd died February 6, 2020, while working from her home in the Bay Area. Now her daughter, Kayla, is sharing her grief. Kayla says her mom was not feeling well and had some body aches before she died. Coronavirus was listed as a cause of death.
I came home and I found her. That was so hard because I saw her on the floor, and at first I just grabbed my phone and I called 911. It is frustrating, you know, and people who don't even believe in it, who think it's a hoax. That's what really angered me the most, because I'm like, I know what it's like.
At first, the cause of death was listed as just a heart attack since there was little information about coronavirus at the time. More tests revealed COVID-19 caused that heart attack. African Americans suffer some of the highest death rates from the coronavirus, but many say they will not get the vaccine. Last night, 17's Moses Small hosted a live town hall to separate fact from fiction.
So first and foremost, the vaccine does not interact with your DNA. An example I like to use is if you think of your cells as a chicken egg, right? You break it into a bowl, there's a white, and then there's a separate yellow yolk that's completely contained and separate within the egg, correct? There's the nucleus of the cell where all of your DNA is held, is just like that yolk. It's completely separate, it's protected, and the mRNA vaccine never gets anywhere near it.
Several experts from Kern's Black community weighed in on the historical issues steering some communities of color away from the vaccine. If you missed the town hall, you can watch it on our website, kget.com. In education news, 2 local districts are working to get kids back in the classroom. According to the Rosedale Union School District, if the county continues to see a decline in positive cases, then some students will be able to return to in-person learning. The board made that decision on Tuesday. The district says if there is a consecutive downturn in cases, 7th and 8th graders will return on March 1st instead of March 8th. Currently, every other grade has returned for in-person learning. Meantime, the Panama Buena Vista Union School District released a chart showing the stages for its reopening. The first stage begins with a special day of classes on February 25th for pre-K through 8th grade. The other stages are dependent on the decline of positive cases. If those cases remain low, then certain grade levels can return. The Mcfarland Police Department has a new top cop. Last night, the City Council hired Kenny Williams. He worked for the Kern County Sheriff's Office for nearly 30 years before retiring in 2010. He then went to work for the CSUB Police Department. Chief Williams begins his new job on February 22nd. Messages of love, hope, and healing are on display at the White House for Valentine's Day, but it was the first dogs, Champ and Major, who got the attention this morning. They received some love from the press and other White House staffers while the dogs were out with the President and First Lady as they were taking a walk around the grounds. In entertainment news now, the second season of a sci-fi Apple TV series is set to launch next week. Our entertainment expert, Rick Bentley, has more.
Well, the second season of the superb Apple TV series For All Mankind begins February 19th. I had the chance to talk with Chowchilla native and sci-fi legend Ron Moore about the series that looks at what would have happened if the Russians had beaten the Americans to the moon.
The Soviets might be trying to introduce a new weapon.
That's steps away from nuclear war.
Yeah, the idea was that the irony would be that by losing the moon, we gained so much more, and that we would advance, and that we would have been challenged to go even stronger into space, and that as a result, things would have gotten better on Earth. We would have had big technological advancement years ahead of schedule, and also that there had been more diversity, and culturally things would have changed, and that ultimately it would have moved us on a path towards a better future.
Here the rules of engagement
from the very beginning, so it felt natural that as the space program got bigger, the military's interest in the space program would grow as well, especially because the Soviet Union would definitely have militarized their program. So it felt interesting and dramatic to sort of make the second season much more of a Cold War piece, where the militaries of both the Soviets and the United States were front and center in the space program, and that they would collide.
Well, for more on this series and other entertainment options, go to Rick's Reviews at KGET.com.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to KGET.com.